Ladies and gentlemen, let me say something to you that no one probably said to you growing up. Becoming a millionaire is not a fantasy. It is not reserved for the chosen few. It is not a lottery ticket or a twist of fate. Becoming a millionaire is a decision, a disciplined, intentional, uncomfortable, relentless decision. And if you're willing to work like it depends on you and think like it depends on your future, you can absolutely become one. This is not motivational fluff. This is math, this is mindset, and this is strategy. Millionaires don't happen, they're built. Every $1,000,000 result you admire started with a decision that looked unreasonable to everyone else. A decision to stay focused when distractions were louder, a decision to invest when others were scared, a decision to build habits when others made excuses. If you want to become a millionaire, you have to stop waiting for permission and start building like it's inevitable, because if you don't believe it first, no one else will. Now, I don't want you to confuse wealth with luck. Most people love to tell themselves they just got lucky. No, they didn't. They got intentional. They showed up consistently. They built skill. They kept promises to themselves, and most importantly, they didn't waste time pretending to be busy. They were productive. They learned how to own their calendar, because let me tell you something. If you can't manage 24 hours, don't talk to me about managing 7 figures. Time is your first investment. You want to know how to make more money, master your minutes. Millionaires are obsessive about how they spend their time. They know what their time is worth, and they don't discount it. They trade distraction for discipline. They turn excuses into execution. They say no to almost everything that doesn't align with their long-term vision, and they show up like their future depends on it, because it does. You don't earn $1,000,000 by doing $10 work. You have to increase your value in the marketplace. That means learning high-income skills. That means getting uncomfortable. That means saying, I don't know this yet, but I'm willing to learn it. Income will always match your level of value. So if you're not earning more, stop blaming the economy. Look at your input. Are you growing? Are you solving problems? Are you taking ownership? Because no one is going to pay you millionaire money if you're operating at minimum effort. But let me give you the truth no one wants to hear. You can't outturn poor habits. I've seen people make a lot of money and lose it because they never changed their mindset. They still thought small. They still spent carelessly. They still let fear run their decisions. Money doesn't change your character, it amplifies it. And if you want to be a millionaire, you need to build the internal structure before the external reward shows up. That means being disciplined. That means keeping your word. That means learning how to manage money before it multiplies. Becoming a millionaire starts way before the money arrives. It starts when you stop thinking like everyone else. It starts when you stop asking for shortcuts. It starts when you stop saying, that's not for people like me, and start saying, why not me? I need you to decide that you're done with average. I need you to raise your standard. Because no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you financial freedom. But you, yes, you have everything it takes to build it. Wealth isn't an event. It's a pattern. It's showing up every day like your goals are non-negotiable. It's doing the boring, hard, unsexy work even when no one's clapping. It's managing your emotions and making logic-based financial decisions. It's choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term fun. That's how you earn freedom. That's how you build a life that doesn't depend on a paycheck. That's how you become the kind of person who doesn't just dream of being wealthy, but who decides it's done. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're tired of waiting, if you're tired of watching others build while you hesitate, I want you to make the decision today, not someday, not when it's convenient today. Decide to stop living in fear, decide to learn, decide to take bold action, decide to think like the version of you who's already made it, because the path to becoming a millionaire is already paved. You just need to start walking it. You're not too late. You're not too far behind. You're not lacking. You are capable, equipped, and ready. The only thing left is the decision, so make it, and then never look back. There's a narrative in society that millionaires just get lucky. that they're born into the right family, they marry rich, they inherit money, or they hit a jackpot, some magical once in a lifetime stroke of fate that transforms their financial status overnight. That narrative is not only misleading, it's harmful. It teaches people to wait instead of act, to hope instead of plan, to envy instead of build. The truth is, millionaires aren't lucky, they are intentional. They design their future long before it exists. They see themselves as the creator, not the recipient of their wealth. Every dollar they earn, every risk they take, every sacrifice they make, it's not about chance, it's about choice, it's about discipline. It's about daily decisions compounded over time. When you understand that millionaire status is not a game of odds but a product of design, your entire approach changes. You stop waiting for your circumstances to shift. You stop blaming the economy, your past, your upbringing, your education. You stop seeing the world as something you must survive and start seeing it as something you can shape. Millionaires don't just wake up rich. They wake up driven. They wake up focused. They wake up before the world demands their attention and they ask, "What can I do today that aligns with my long-term vision?" They are clear on what they want. They know their goals intimately, not just vague dreams like more money or freedom. They know the number, they know the timeline, they know what it's going to take, and they commit to it daily. This kind of intentionality requires clarity. If you don't know where you're going, no amount of hard work will get you there. Millionaires don't stumble into wealth. They plan for it, they strategize around it, and they protect their time and energy like it's the most valuable asset. Because it is. Every opportunity they say yes to is measured. Every meeting, every call, every investment, it's filtered through the lens of, does this get me closer to my ultimate goal? If it doesn't, they say no, not maybe. Not later, no, because their vision isn't negotiable. Their standards are high because their expectations are higher. Being intentional also means being willing to do what others won't. It means working late when the excuses start to pile up. It means learning when you'd rather relax. It means saying no to short-term pleasure for long-term freedom. It's not glamorous and it's not easy, but it's necessary. Millionaires think long game. They don't chase trends, they build fundamentals. They're not interested in the appearance of success. They're interested in the structure of it. They'll drive the same car for years while building investments behind the scenes. They'll skip the vacation now to own the resort later. They're playing chess in a world obsessed with checkers. Another aspect of this intentional living is how millionaires learn. They don't wait to be taught. They don't look for step-by-step handouts. They take initiative. They devour books, they listen to mentors, they attend masterminds, they invest in education, not because someone told them to, but because they decided to outlearn their limits. They understand that if they want more, they have to become more. Wealth isn't something you attract, it's something you grow into. The level of money you desire is already out there. The only question is, are you willing to become the person who earns and manages that level? There's also a key psychological shift that happens with intentional wealth building. Millionaires don't make emotional decisions with money. They aren't ruled by fear or greed. They're intentional with risk. They know how to assess opportunities based on logic, math, and experience. They don't fall for hype. They ask better questions. They analyze outcomes. They're aware that losing and learning is part of the process, and they don't let failure define them. Their mindset isn't fragile. It's forged by repeated decisions that stretch them, refine them, and prepare them for larger responsibility. And perhaps most importantly, intention shows up in consistency. Millionaires don't rely on bursts of motivation. They don't work hard just when it feels good. They build systems that support their goals. They create routines. They automate what can be automated. They delegate to stay in their zone of genius. They understand that success is boring, it's repetitive, it's waking up every day and doing what needs to be done, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's thankless. But they keep showing up because they know that every moment of intention is compounding in the background, creating the results they'll one day be celebrated for. So if you're waiting for the perfect time, for the lucky break, for the magical shift, I want you to stop. Because it's not coming, what is coming is opportunity, but only if you're prepared for it. Only if you've been intentional with your growth, your skills, your habits, your environment. The people who seem lucky are usually the most prepared. They've positioned themselves to receive. They've done the boring work when no one was watching. They've believed in their potential when no one else did. And that's not luck. That's a lifestyle, a mindset. A mission, the real difference between people who dream of millions and those who make them is simple. Intention, one group wishes, the other decides. So if you want to join the top percent, stop hoping. Start building, because your wealth won't be a result of luck. It will be the result of you. The truth that most people don't want to hear is this: before the money, before the $1,000,000 business, before the financial breakthrough comes the mindset. If you don't master that, nothing else will last, because no matter how much you earn, if you don't believe you're worth it, you will find a way to sabotage it. If you don't think like a millionaire, you won't keep $1,000,000 results. Your mindset is the filter through which you experience every challenge, every opportunity, every win, and every setback. It's the difference between someone who sees an obstacle and stops, and someone who sees the same obstacle and finds a way around it. It's not just about what happens to you. It's how you interpret what happens that determines your success. Most people think mindset is motivation. It's not. Motivation fades. Mindset is what stays after the hype wears off. Mindset is the story you tell yourself when no one is watching. It's the internal language that shapes your external results. When you hear no, do you take it personally and retreat, or do you lean in and figure out what needs to change to get a yes? When something fails, do you spiral into shame, or do you collect the data and use it as fuel to improve? That choice is mindset, and that choice happens every day. Millionaires think differently because they've trained their minds to serve their vision, not sabotage it. They don't dwell on limitations. They look for leverage. They don't focus on what they can't control. They double down on what they can. And the truth is, most people don't fail because of their circumstances. They fail because they never trained their minds to lead them through those circumstances. They panic. They procrastinate. They protect their comfort zones instead of pushing their limits. But you can't grow $1,000,000 life from $1,000 mindset. You can't play small and expect big results. You have to reprogram how you think. That means confronting your beliefs. What were you taught about money growing up? That it's scarce, that it's evil, that rich people are selfish, that success only comes to others. You need to break that. You need to identify and rewrite every belief that keeps you from stepping into your next level. Because what you believe, you behave, and if you believe that success isn't for people like you will unconsciously repel it, even if you say you want it. Your mindset will always bring you back to your baseline of belief. This is why personal development is not optional, it's essential. Millionaires read because they know the quality of their input shapes the quality of their output. They surround themselves with other growth-minded people because they know environment feeds belief. They invest in coaching not because they're weak, but because they're committed to mastering their blind spots. They take ownership of their mental state, knowing that how they think affects how they lead, how they sell, how they serve, and how they live. A millionaire's mindset isn't about arrogance, it's about discipline. It's about being relentless with your inner world so you can dominate your outer results. And let's be real, a winning mindset doesn't mean you never doubt. It means you don't stay stuck in doubt. It means when fear creeps in, and it will, you know how to move through it. It means when things don't go to plan, you stay anchored in possibility, not panic. It means when people tell you you're dreaming too big, you don't shrink, you expand. You know that their limitations are not your reality. You operate from vision, not validation. Most people never become millionaires not because they aren't capable, but because they don't manage the 6 inches between their ears. They talk themselves out of greatness. They let comfort win. They allow temporary feelings to dictate permanent decisions, but the ones who make it, they choose a higher standard of thinking. They make decisions from their future self, not their current fears. They train their mindset like it's their full-time job because they know their mind is their main competitive advantage. Your business strategy, your product, your network, none of it matters if your mindset is weak. Because if your mind isn't right, you won't even start, or you'll start and quit, or you'll keep reinventing instead of refining. A strong mindset gives you the endurance to stay in the game long enough to win. It gives you the clarity to see what others miss. It gives you the grit to stay calm when others panic. In today's world where everything is loud, fast, and uncertain, your mindset is the anchor. You either lead it or it leads you. So the real question is, are you choosing thoughts that support your vision or thoughts that sabotage it? Are you feeding your mind growth, possibility, resilience, or are you letting it spiral in fear, excuses, and victimhood? Because you can't have a wealthy life with a poor mindset. It won't work. Your thoughts are the blueprint, and your life is the construction. Whatever you build inside will show up outside. If you want the external reality of a millionaire, you need to build the internal wiring first. Mindset isn't something you work on once and forget. It's a daily discipline, a moment by moment awareness, a commitment to thinking on purpose. Millionaires aren't born with it. They build it, and if they can, so can you. But it starts with a choice. Will your mindset be your greatest asset or your biggest liability? You get to decide. There's a mindset shift that every aspiring millionaire must make, and it's this. Stop working only for money and start building systems where money works for you. This is not about being lazy or escaping hard work. Quite the opposite. It's about working smarter, thinking longer term, and putting your money in motion. Most people are stuck in a cycle of trading time for dollars. They wake up, go to work, get paid, spend that money, and repeat the same cycle month after month. It's exhausting, it's limited, and it's not how wealth is built, because time is finite, and if your income depends entirely on your time, then your income is capped by your hours and energy. That's not freedom. That's a high, functioning form of financial slavery. Millionaires understand leverage. They understand that money is a tool, not a destination. They know that the goal is not to accumulate cash just to look wealthy. It's to use that money to create assets that pay you again and again, long after the initial effort is done. Whether it's investing in real estate, building a scalable business, creating a digital product, or owning equity in companies, millionaires think about systems, not paychecks. They ask, how can I use this dollar to bring back 3 more? They don't let their money sit idle. They don't blow every raise or bonus on lifestyle inflation. They put their money to work like an employee, with one goal, to bring back more value. This is the essence of wealth thinking. It's the discipline of building income streams that don't require you to clock in. It's building something once and letting it pay you over and over. It's choosing delayed gratification for lasting freedom, and that's a major mindset shift, because let's be honest, most people want to look rich today, even if it costs them real wealth tomorrow. They want the car, the bag, the lifestyle, the optics, but millionaires delay the optics to secure the options. They don't need to prove anything to anyone. They're too focused on the long game. They'd rather drive the same car for 10 years and own 10 properties than drive a brand new car every year and have 0 assets. Making money work for you means investing it where it grows, not where it depreciates. It means understanding compounding. It means becoming financially literate enough to know what a good return is, how to protect your capital, and how to assess risk without being paralyzed by it. Millionaires are not gamblers, they are strategic. They study trends, they study people, they study industries, they make informed decisions, and they never stop learning, because the moment you think you know it all is the moment your money starts slipping away. And let's be clear, making your money work for you doesn't mean you stop working. It means you shift your role. You move from laborer to architect, from operator to owner. You may still be building, but you're building systems, not just tasks. You're hiring, delegating, automating. You're creating machines that produce value even when you're not in the room. That's where true wealth is born. Not in how many hours you grind, but in how many systems you've built that keep going without you. To get there, you must shift your habits. You must shift how you think about spending, saving, and scaling. Every dollar you earn has a job. Some dollars are for today, some are for tomorrow, and some are for creating new dollars. If you're not intentionally placing your money into vehicles that generate returns, then you're working too hard for too little. Because money, when managed properly, grows, it multiplies, and the more money you have working for you, the more time and freedom you buy back. This is how millionaires create legacy. It's not just about their own freedom, it's about setting up generations to come. They think beyond their next vacation or next home. They think about impact, stability, and influence. They ask, what can I build today that continues to bless others long after I'm gone? That kind of thinking doesn't come from chasing paychecks. It comes from ownership, from equity, from passive income. From being the person who controls the flow of money, not just participates in it. And here's what's beautiful. You don't need to have $1,000,000 to think this way. You just need to make a decision. A decision to stop playing small. A decision to stop spending every dollar on validation. A decision to study wealth the way others study celebrities. A decision to be intentional with your money, your habits, and your energy. Because when you understand that every dollar can be a seed, you stop eating all your harvest. You start planting, and with consistency and strategy, that planting becomes a portfolio. That portfolio becomes cash flow. And that cash flow becomes freedom. So stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop thinking you need more money before you start building wealth. The truth is, wealth starts with mindset, habits, and discipline. You can earn average income and still build extraordinary wealth. If you learn to make money work for you, you are not behind, you are not too late. You are one decision away from shifting into the kind of person who doesn't just earn money, but multiplies it. And once you start thinking like that, you're no longer just chasing success. You're becoming it. The difference between people who stay average and people who build extraordinary wealth often comes down to one thing: how they approach problems. Millionaires, real ones, not just flashy people with borrowed luxury, have developed a deep resilience and a high tolerance for solving big, complex, painful problems. They don't run from difficulty. In fact, they run toward it. They understand that every major opportunity in life is wrapped in a layer of discomfort, and they've trained themselves to dig in anyway, because in the marketplace, the person who solves the biggest problem earns the biggest reward. If you want to be rich, stop asking, how can I avoid hard things? And start asking, what's the hardest problem I can solve and how fast can I do it? The middle class often grows up learning how to maintain, how to keep things comfortable, how to stay safe. There's nothing wrong with security, but when that becomes the default mindset, it kills innovation. Millionaires, by contrast, are raised, or they train themselves, to break comfort barriers daily. They get used to failing fast. They normalize rejection. They become immune to judgment. Why? Because all those things are part of solving problems that others avoid. If you're constantly looking for ease, you will miss every meaningful breakthrough. Your best ideas are probably on the other side of your current frustration, and millionaires know this. They expect struggle. They are not surprised by resistance. They lean in. One of the biggest habits of millionaires is asking better questions. While others say, why is this happening to me? Millionaires ask, what can I learn from this? While others say, I can't afford this, millionaires say, how can I afford this? That mental shift seems small, but it's massive. It's what turns everyday problems into $1,000,000 solutions. Think about every business you admire today: Airbnb, Uber, Amazon. They were all born from solving someone's frustration. The founders didn't avoid the pain. They leaned into it. They built a business around it. They didn't wait for someone to hand them $1,000,000. They earned it by serving people better than anyone else. And here's the part most people miss. Problem solving isn't just about money. It builds confidence. When you commit to solving problems consistently, you build belief in yourself. Every challenge becomes a chance to prove your resourcefulness. Every obstacle becomes fuel for your growth. You stop fearing failure because you realize failure is a teacher, not a death sentence. You learn to trust your process, your grit, and your ability to figure it out. Millionaires don't have fewer problems. They just refuse to be stopped by them. They don't see a closed door and turn around. They find another way in. They knock again. They build a new door, another key trait. Millionaires move fast on solutions. They don't wait for perfect. They take action, get feedback, and improve. Perfectionism is procrastination in disguise. If you're sitting on a business idea, a product, a service, or a project waiting for everything to line up, stop it. The market rewards speed. The faster you solve problems, the faster you learn, and the faster you grow. Speed doesn't mean recklessness. It means urgency. It means momentum. Millionaires know that indecision is more expensive than a wrong decision. They stay in motion. They tweak as they go, but they do not sit still. And here's something powerful. You don't need to solve world hunger to get rich. You just need to solve real problems for real people, consistently, reliably, and with excellence. That might mean improving a process, creating efficiency, making something more accessible, or just showing up better than anyone else in your space. The people who win aren't always the smartest. They're the ones who stay in the game when it gets tough. They're the ones who show up when others quit. They're the ones who say, I'll take that challenge, and then deliver. Millionaires know that consistency is a superpower. If you keep solving problems, money has no choice but to follow you. This is why millionaires invest in themselves so aggressively. They read, they hire coaches, they surround themselves with smarter people, because they know they can't solve tomorrow's problems with yesterday's mindset. They're not scared to feel dumb in a room if it means they'll leave smarter. They don't protect their ego. They protect their mission. They stay curious. They stay hungry. They know the world is evolving, and if they stop growing, they'll get left behind. So they constantly sharpen their tools mentally, emotionally, and financially, because better tools solve bigger problems, and bigger problems unlock bigger paydays. If you want to build wealth, become obsessed with solving problems. Start small, but be consistent. Don't run from conflict. Lean into it with creativity. Don't fear tough conversations. Have them with clarity. Don't shrink from failure. Extract the lesson and move forward. Teach yourself that solving problems is not a burden. It's the path. It's the doorway to every dream you've ever had. Every solution you create adds value to someone else's life. And value, not effort, is what builds wealth. Millionaires are not magical. They are simply relentless. They take messy problems and turn them into clean results. They build systems where chaos existed. They create clarity where there was confusion. And they do it over and over until the world says, here's your reward. You can become that person. You just have to decide. Decide that problems don't define you. They elevate you. Decide that discomfort is your training ground. Decide that instead of avoiding hard things, you'll chase them down and own the solution, because that is the path to becoming a millionaire. That is the mindset that changes everything. The average person is taught to depend on a single source of income, a job, a paycheck, maybe a side hustle at best, but millionaires don't think that way. They're not relying on one employer, one client, or one opportunity. They know that real wealth is built by creating multiple streams of income that work together, not separately, to support a lifestyle of freedom and growth. Millionaires understand that depending on one income stream is like balancing your entire financial life on a single thread. If that one thing falls apart, you're done. That's not freedom, that's vulnerability. Millionaires flip that model upside down. They build income that comes in while they sleep. They create systems, not just labor. They stack assets, not just effort. That's how they win. It starts with a shift in mindset. Instead of thinking, how can I make more at my job? They think, how can I use my current income to create more income? They look at every dollar as a tool, every hour as leverage. They know their time is valuable, but they also know that time is limited. So they start investing, not just in the stock market, but in businesses, real estate, intellectual property, and digital products. They don't chase trends blindly, but they do educate themselves on the options, whether it's building an online course, owning rental property, investing in dividend stocks, or licensing their expertise. They look for smart ways to make money work for them. One of the smartest strategies millionaires use is to take the income from one stream and use it to fund the next. It's not about splurging with your first win, it's about reinvesting wisely. If their business earns $100K, they're asking, how do I turn this into a real estate down payment or use it to build a passive product? They are constantly thinking like investors, not just earners. This is not about greed, it's about sustainability. If the first stream slows down, they're covered. If the economy shifts, they adapt. They are protected because they've diversified. And they don't wait for the perfect time. They build these layers one by one, brick by brick, knowing it will compound over time. Most people get overwhelmed by the idea of multiple income streams because they try to start them all at once. That's not the goal. Millionaires build one strong stream, optimize it, automate or delegate it, and then move to the next. They master before multiplying. This could mean building a high-profit service business, then turning their process into a course. Or writing a book and using it to generate speaking opportunities and consulting gigs. The key is stacking value, not just activity. Millionaires aren't busy, they're strategic. They build momentum in one area and use that momentum to fund the next vision. Another important thing to understand is that not all income streams are created equal. Millionaires prioritize cash flow. They don't get distracted by income that sounds impressive but doesn't convert. Passive income gets a lot of attention, but many so-called passive ideas are front-loaded with effort. Millionaires know this, and they're not afraid of the work. What they avoid is being locked into a model where their income depends entirely on their daily presence. They want options, they want automation, they want scalability. That's why they lean into things like affiliate marketing, software, intellectual property, rental income, and licensing deals. They build systems that separate their time from their money. The freedom that comes from multiple income streams is not just financial, it's psychological. When you know you have several revenue engines running, you operate from a place of peace, not panic. You make bolder decisions. You invest with more confidence. You take risks that scared you before because you're not starting from zero. That's how momentum builds. That's how people go from 6 figures to 7 and from 7 to 8. It's not magic, it's math, it's stacking, and it's available to anyone willing to play the long game. Now let's be real, building multiple income streams isn't glamorous at the start. It can be slow, frustrating, and filled with trial and error. But millionaires keep going. They study what works. They hire help when they need to. They don't expect overnight success. They expect consistency. That's the difference. They're not looking for one big break. They're looking for multiple consistent wins that add up over time. They're patient with the process and aggressive with their goals. They build a foundation strong enough to support future growth, and they stay focused when others quit too soon. So if you want to become a millionaire, don't just focus on working harder. Focus on building smarter. Start with what you know, expand with what you learn, and grow with what you earn. Turn your skills into services, your services into products, your products into systems, and your systems into income. This is how wealth is built, intentionally, strategically, and relentlessly. The goal isn't just to make more money. It's to create a life where money works harder than you do. A life where your income doesn't stop when you do. A life where your financial future is in your hands, not someone else's. You don't need a trust fund. You don't need 1 million followers. You need focus, discipline, and a mindset that says one stream isn't enough. Because the truth is, financial freedom isn't found in your paycheck. It's found in your ability to multiply what you've already earned. It's found in creating, not just consuming. It's found in building income that lasts longer than the hours you worked for it. That's how millionaires think. And if you want to become one, start thinking and building the same way.